Imagine you are floating in the depths of space, where the light from distant stars reaches your eyes as a mere blur of the past. In the midst of this silence, 3I Atlas appears, unlike anything humanity has ever seen. If you too want to explore these mysteries, subscribe and keep your eyes peeled so you don't miss a single moment of the cosmic journey. You are still floating in the dim light, where each photon tells the story of billions of years. In the midst of that silence, an object appears, strange and mysterious, 3I Atlas. It is not just a dim dot on the screen, but a phenomenon that shakes every expectation of the universe as we know it. Its light is unlike any comet you have ever imagined. It moves, flickers, and reflects mysteries that the data cannot explain. A strange feeling creeps into your imagination, as if this object knows you are watching but at the same time keeps its own secrets. Each time you look at its orbit, you see not a free-floating object, but a music of energy, a silent rhythm of the galaxy, inviting you to listen and let your ideas fly further. Like the ancient light that is still coming towards you, 3I Atlas carries within it a question that no one has yet answered. It reminds you that the universe not only exists, but also tells a story, photon by photon, movement by movement, and it is all waiting for your attention. Telescopes across the globe picked up a strange object. No explosion, no flash of light, just a bright spot moving in an unusual orbit, gradually appearing on the data screen. Astronomers initially thought it was a regular comet, but the more they observed, the more they saw differences. 3I Atlas's speed was too high to be a regular comet, and the light it emitted did not follow the known laws of physics. With each new data feed, a strange feeling spread through the observation room. Numbers, charts, and fading images appeared, but still left more questions than answers. You can imagine, among the infinite stars, such a strange object still exists, moving silently, but meaningful to those who listen. The signals from 3I Atlas are more than just light. They are the first hints that the universe may be more complex than previously thought. And here, at this moment, every observation begins to tell a story that has never been told. 3I Atlas drifts through space on a near hyperbolic orbit, a path completely different from any known comet or planet. If this were a natural phenomenon, the probability of its occurrence would be almost zero, like finding a single grain of sand among all the beaches on Earth. Every move seems to be shaped by an invisible hand, gliding past planets without being held by gravity, creating a subtle rhythm between matter and space-time, a quiet melody that only those who pay close attention can perceive. The light emitted by 3I Atlas reflects its motion, slipping through the dark regions of the universe, drawing a hazy map of movement beyond all the usual astronomical laws. That orbit pulls your mind along to a place where the familiar gives way to surprise and where the silence of the universe becomes rhythmic. Have you ever wondered if this is just a random act of nature, or a subtle sign, a message, a mechanism that the universe keeps hidden, left to those sensitive enough to listen? Share your thoughts, because every idea of 3I Atlas is a small step into the deepest mysteries. The light from 3I Atlas is not simply a reflection. It flickers in a steady, slow rhythm, like a subtle breath in the vastness of space. Each pulse of light is an endogenous rhythm, a silent signal, unexplainable by conventional astronomical phenomena. Over time, people see the light increase and decrease in a fixed cycle, unaffected by the solar wind, undisturbed by cosmic dust. It operates in a sophisticated way, like the silent heartbeat of an interstellar object. These changes are stable, directional. Each flash of light carries a story that only the universe can understand. Photons emitted from 3I Atlas keep traces of endogenous activity, both faint and powerful, as if the object were communicating with the space around it, in the only way it knows. Observing 3I Atlas, one notices a gradually expanding gas layer, a rapidly developing coma, more powerful than any comet ever recorded. It is not simply vapor and ice dust, but a region of gas swelling, seemingly with its own rhythm, subtly interacting with light and gravity. With each passing second, the coma seems to change, but in an orderly way, like a self-regulating mechanism, independent of external influences. Astronomers note, the gas mass increases rapidly, beyond all physical predictions, giving the feeling that the object is alive, moving and influencing its surroundings. The surrounding gas rings reflect light, forming a hazy mist, expanding gradually in space, with a steady, quiet rhythm, as if 3I Atlas is breathing with the universe. When you look at the coma, you realize this is not just a layer of lifeless gas, but a sign of a sophisticated system operating in ways that ordinary nature would have difficulty creating. Inside the coma's hazy gas, astronomers found that 3I Atlas's core remained solid, unbroken or disintegrated despite the enormous pressure. The object's shape remained intact, strong and stable, as if built to survive the harsh environment of interstellar space. The light that converged in front of the core appeared to be purposeful, not randomly scattered. Each beam of light was directed toward a specific point, giving the impression that the object knew exactly where it was going and who was watching. These features were completely different from any known comet, suggesting the possibility of sophisticated internal mechanisms, an artificial structure, or at least a self-sustaining, self-protecting design. When observed for a long time, one feels every movement, every flash of light, every change in orbit seems to be in an order, as if this object is interacting with the surrounding space in a way that the normal universe cannot create. The light and orbit of 3I Atlas are not only surprising, but also open up unprecedented hypotheses. It may not be simply a natural object, but a technological system, an interstellar device, operating sophisticatedly based on energies and materials we do not yet understand. Some scientists compare it to artificial probes capable of emitting signals, responding to the environment, and adjusting its orbit in the most sophisticated ways. Other hypotheses suggest that 3I Atlas may be a device built by an extraterrestrial civilization, programmed to observe or collect data about the solar system, a spy drifting quietly among the stars. Each new observation, each photon the telescope picks up, increases the curiosity, like little clues to a larger story, a mystery that human imagination has only scratched the surface of. This subtlety makes us wonder whether the universe is simply following the laws of physics, or perhaps, sometimes, another distant intelligence is also riding its own rhythm among the stars. Watching 3I Atlas drift across the sky, one no longer sees an ordinary object. Each movement, each flash, each breath of coma is a reminder that the universe still holds untold mysteries. We still cannot completely determine the origin or purpose of this object. Is it a natural phenomenon or a sophisticated mechanism, an extraterrestrial technology? Each observation leads to new questions and no immediate answers. The data, the signals, the pulses of light are all clues, but they are not just numbers or charts. They are an invitation to drift along, to observe, and to ponder. In that moment, the observer feels the uncertainty, the vastness, and the strangeness that the universe seems to both whisper and invite you to listen. 3i Atlas does not end here. It opens the door, allowing imagination and curiosity to become guiding lights. And the question remains, are humans ready to understand, or have they just touched the edge of a greater mystery? Telescopes around the world have for the first time recorded a layer of gas surrounding 3i Atlas. Not a normal halo, but an expanding region of gas, gradually swelling in a rhythm that seems alive, as if the object itself is breathing in the vastness of space. The light reflected from the coma is not discrete, but steady, hazy, like a celestial music written in photons. Each observation leaves astronomers amazed, feeling they are looking into a secret of the universe, a phenomenon that classical physics has difficulty explaining. The coma expands in an unpredictable way. While other comets move and shed gas in predictable ways, 3i Atlas ejects gas and dust at speeds that defy all models. These movements are not chaotic, not scattered by the impact of solar winds or astronomical collisions, but maintain a delicate order, like a self-regulating system. This has scientists wondering, is this a natural phenomenon, or is it a sign of a sophisticated mechanism, a kind of technology that the universe is still keeping secret? You can pause for a moment, click like if you feel that rhythmic silence, and click subscribe to follow the next mysteries that 3i Atlas reveals. Initial observations show that the coma is more than just a halo of gas. It reflects light in an orderly way, as if each photon is emitted to a rhythm that the object knows exactly. Every movement, every flash, bears the trace of an internal energy and suggests that 3i Atlas operates in a way that humans have never witnessed. The gas not only expands, but also subtly changes shape, interacting gently with the gravity, light, and magnetic fields around it. As you watch, you sense the rhythm of a living thing in silence, as if the universe is telling a story in light and space. 3i Atlas's coma not only appeared, but expanded at a rate that exceeded all predictions. Classical physics models of comets could not explain this phenomenon. The gas seemed to spread out in empty space, in a steady fashion, but at a rate astronomers had never seen before. Each new observation recorded changes, millimeter by millimeter, second by second, but the overall rhythm remained, like a sophisticated mechanism that self-regulated to survive in the harsh universe. Scientists analyzed the spectral data, realizing that the gas ejected did not disintegrate, did not disappear like normal comets. Instead, it persisted, keeping pace with the object's own motion, creating the feeling that 3i Atlas was breathing of its own accord. The rate at which the coma expanded far exceeded all predictions. It violates the usual physical limits of gas and ice in interstellar space. No amount of solar wind or magnetic field can disturb this delicate rhythm. The coma seems to operate on its own, an internal energy system that classical physics cannot yet describe. Looking at the coma, you sense its subtlety, a delicate balance between matter and energy, between motion and light, between presence and void. Astronomers have noted not only expansion, but also signs of self-sustaining ability of an internal mechanism within 3i Atlas, a sophisticated system that does not depend on external influences. The coma is not just a gas, it is a demonstration of difference, a subtle sign that 3i Atlas is unlike any other object in the solar system, and every observation of it raises new questions. Is nature or a sophisticated mechanism at work? The light from 3i Atlas is not simply a reflection of sunlight. It pulsates, flickers, and radiates in a steady rhythm, like the faint breath of an interstellar being. The pulses are unaffected by solar winds or cosmic dust particles. They operate in a delicate order, giving the sense that the object knows exactly where it is and where it is going. The photons emitted by 3i Atlas seem to retain traces of its own internal energy, a quiet rhythm that nature would be hard-pressed to produce. Astronomers have observed the light rising and falling in cycles, synchronized with the object's movements, like a cosmic symphony written in light and space. Each flash carries information, a faint but clear signal, as if the object were communicating with the space around it in a way only it knows. These changes have scientists pondering. Is 3i Atlas simply a natural phenomenon, or is it a sophisticated mechanism, a form of interstellar technology, programmed to maintain its own rhythm? Look long enough and you sense order and chaos, a stability between motion and light, and this quiet rhythm takes your imagination away, to a place where the universe whispers its own story. The gas surrounding 3i Atlas continues to expand, gradually covering a larger area of space than any other comet has ever recorded. Not only is it expanding, but the coma is also growing at a steady pace, as if adjusting itself to survive in the harsh universe. Each movement of the coma evokes the feeling of the object breathing, a slow, subtle breath, leading every observer to sink into the silence between the stars. The gas in the coma does not disintegrate, unaffected by the solar wind or interstellar dust, but still maintains an astonishing stability. The light reflected from the coma creates hazy halos, like mist emanating from the object's own heartbeat, reflecting the internal energy inside 3i Atlas. These observations reveal a sophisticated system that not only exists, but operates at its own pace, far beyond the capabilities of conventional astronomical phenomena. Within coma's hazy gas, the 3i Atlas core remains stable, without disintegrating or deforming despite the immense pressures of the interstellar medium. The solid shape of the object suggests that it is more than just an ordinary block of ice. Every contour, every delicate angle, seems designed to maintain its integrity. In the harshest conditions, space can throw. The light that converges from the core does not appear to be random. Each beam points toward a specific point, as if the object knows exactly where it is going and can recognize who is observing. Astronomers have realized that these features are completely different from any previous comet or interstellar object. They suggest the possibility of a sophisticated internal mechanism, perhaps a stable structure, or at least a self-operating protective layer, an inner heart that only 3I Atlas possesses. The surrounding gas, the flickering light, and the regular motion all combine to create the sense that the object is interacting with its surroundings in a way that the ordinary universe cannot produce. This opens an important question. Is 3I Atlas simply a natural phenomenon, or is it a sophisticated system, a self-regulating mechanism, an interstellar machine, operating for a purpose that humans have never imagined? Each new observation, each photon recorded, increases our curiosity and reminds us that in the universe, there are many strange things that human imagination has only just begun to touch. 3I Atlas's light and trajectory are not only surprising, but also open up possibilities that the human imagination has never explored. The object seems to be more than a mere natural phenomenon. Some scientists theorize it may be a technological system, a sophisticated interstellar device, powered by energies and materials we do not yet understand. The periodic flashes of light, the regular rings of gas surrounding it, and the ability to maintain its shape in harsh environments all suggest a purposeful mechanism. Some compare 3I Atlas to a human-made probe with the ability to emit signals, respond to its environment, and finally adjust its orbit. As a silent observer among the stars, the object seems to know exactly where it is and where it is going. Other theories extend that 3I Atlas could be the work of an extraterrestrial civilization programmed to observe or collect data about the solar system. It is like an interstellar spy, drifting silently among the stars without anyone noticing. Each new observation, each photon recorded, is like a small clue leading to a larger story, a mystery that science has only scratched the surface of. This sophistication makes people wonder, does the universe simply operate according to physical laws, or is another, far-off intelligence writing its own rhythms among the stars that we are only beginning to recognize? The telescopes observing 3I Atlas for the first time all recorded something incredible. The object did not follow the familiar elliptical or parabolic orbits of comets and asteroids. Instead, it followed an elongated hyperbolic path, a path rarely seen in the entire history of observations of the solar system. Looking at the data, we see a subtlety that nature seems to struggle to create. The velocity, the direction, and the amount of energy the object carries all combine to create a unique, incredibly precise orbit. Scientists compare it to finding a single grain of sand in the middle of an endless desert. That grain of sand not only exists, but also follows a precise curve without deviating by even a fraction. Such a natural arrangement is almost impossible and creates a feeling of both awe and reverence for the perfection of the universe. Not just the orbit, but every measurement related to 3I Atlas is extraordinary. From the reflected light to the surrounding gas, everything acts like a delicate symphony, both silent and endogenously rhythmic. This leads to a profound realization: 3I Atlas is unlike any comet before it. It appears as a unique object, a silent message, inviting humans to observe, to reflect, and to recognize the extraordinariness of interstellar existence. After recognizing 3I Atlas's unique hyperbolic orbit, astronomers began calculating the probability of this happening naturally. They used Monte Carlo models, simulating millions of interstellar objects, taking into account every variable: mass, velocity, initial orbit, even impacts from planets, solar wind, and interstellar dust. The results were astonishing. The likelihood of an object with the characteristics of 3I Atlas accidentally entering the solar system and remaining in a stable hyperbolic orbit was virtually zero. Each simulation showed that any small error in velocity or initial position would cause the object to fall out of this delicate orbit and turn it into an unobservable phenomenon. Like a thin string, any vibration would throw it off balance, and still exists, still moves, a delicate rhythm that nature can hardly create. To not miss out on such magical journeys, please subscribe and join me in listening to the breath of the stars, feeling the extraordinary that is creeping between each particle of light. These calculations are not just numbers or abstract models. They are a mirror reflecting the extraordinary of 3I Atlas. Every data, every measurement, reinforces the realization that this object is completely different, as if the universe has arranged a unique moment, a meeting that humans are lucky to witness. A perfect rhythm between matter and space, which classical science has only touched the edge of. This extraordinary probability leads to an open question. Is 3I Atlas a purely natural phenomenon, or does it bear the traces of a sophisticated mechanism, an extraterrestrial intelligence or technology? Each photon, each ray of light recorded, is a clue, inviting humans to drift along, to look deeper, imagine further, and quietly reach the unknown limits of the universe. Unlike any other comet observed by humans, 3I Atlas does not follow the familiar elliptical or parabolic orbit. Normal comets orbit the Sun, affected by the gravity of large planets, impacted by solar wind and interstellar dust particles, and often change their orbits over time, sometimes unpredictably. 3I Atlas is different. Its hyperbolic orbit is remarkably stable, despite all the gravitational and radiation effects in the solar system. Every measurement, every calculation matches exactly the path the object takes, as if it follows a pre-programmed program, a rhythm that nature is almost incapable of producing. Astronomers call this phenomenon unnatural within the limits of familiar physics. If comets are often likened to wandering interstellar passengers, then 3I Atlas is like a passenger who knows exactly where it is going, with a speed and direction that never deviates by a fraction of a percent. Its path is not only rare, but also a testament to absolute sophistication. Natural comets cannot maintain a perfectly hyperbolic orbit when passing the Sun, not to mention having to overcome the gravitational pull of large planets, the effects of radiation, and all the interstellar dust. But 3I Atlas remains straight and steady, as if its orbit was set billions of light-years in advance. This difference has both amazed and confused the scientific community. Some researchers liken it to a single grain of sand in the cosmic desert, a grain of sand that knows its exact path and is not subject to any influence to deviate it. An object with a near-zero probability of occurring, yet it exists. It is still visible to humans. These comparisons not only help us understand the extraordinary orbit, but also raise deeper questions about the nature of 3I Atlas. Is it just an unusual comet? Or is it a sophisticatedly designed object with an orbit and behavior that goes beyond the natural limits we know? Every observation, every measurement, is a reminder of the extraordinariness of the universe, of the possibilities that science has yet to explain, and of the mysteries that 3I Atlas brings to humanity. The extraordinary orbits and behavior of 3I Atlas are not only astronomical facts, but also have profound implications for human understanding of the universe. They remind us that, in this vastness of infinity, there are things beyond our understanding and experience. Each data point, each measurement, not only reflects physical properties, but also opens up a sense of drifting between unknown possibilities. 3I Atlas, with its rare hyperbolic orbit, is like a silent message, reminding us that the universe still holds subtle mysteries, waiting for us to observe and listen. The insights into extraordinary probabilities of perfectly unpredictable paths not only astound astronomers, but also open the human mind to embrace the magic of the universe in a slow, gentle rhythm. We realize that there are things that cannot be explained by formulas, but can only be felt by careful observation and by imagination guided through the silences of space. In that moment, familiar laws become softer, and the extraordinary nature of 3I Atlas emerges as a living proof that the universe is always bigger than any theory or understanding we have. After realizing the extraordinary orbit of 3I Atlas, astronomers began detailed simulations and analyses. They used the most sophisticated models, incorporating the equations of motion, gravity, the effects of solar radiation, and the effects of large planets and small asteroids. Each step of the calculation considered minimal error, because any small change in velocity or initial position would completely change the orbit. 3I Atlas continued to move along a hyperbolic path, regardless of all impacts, like a thin string, both flexible and absolutely precise. Probability models showed that the likelihood of a natural object with these properties accidentally entering the solar system was almost zero. Astronomers have likened it to finding 3I Atlas in the middle of the solar system is like finding a single grain of sand in the desert, which travels in a perfect curve, unpredictable by anyone. Each measurement, each observation, reinforces the realization that this object is completely different. The hyperbolic path is not only rare, but also a testament to an absolute sophistication, a rhythm that nature could hardly have created. These models also reveal that the orbit of 3I Atlas is not just a movement through space, but also a cosmic music, a delicate program that modern astronomical forces are only beginning to perceive. This extraordinary probability leads to a broader question. Is 3I Atlas a purely natural phenomenon, or does it bear the traces of a sophisticated mechanism, perhaps extraterrestrial intelligence or technology? Each photon, each ray of light recorded, is a clue, an invitation for humans to drift along, to look deeper, imagine further, and quietly reach the unknown limits of the universe. Looking at 3I Atlas's extraordinary orbit, many astronomers couldn't help but recall Oumuamua, the first interstellar object ever discovered in 2017. Oumuamua also travels on a hyperbolic orbit beyond the limits of natural comets and raises unprecedented questions about its origin and nature. Compared to 3I Atlas, both objects are rare, but there is one clear difference. 3I Atlas is larger, more energetic, and its surrounding gas is unusually expansive, beyond all classical physics predictions. Scientists began comparing parameters: velocity, orbit, mass, and the stability of the hyperbolic orbit. They realized that 3I Atlas was not only a larger version of Oumuamua, but also possessed superior properties, so sophisticated that they were difficult to explain by known natural laws. Oumuamua had shaken human understanding of interstellar objects, but 3i Atlas took that amazement many times over. It was like an extended piece of music, more complex, deeper, and more mysterious. These differences led scientists to ask a bold question: could 3i Atlas be an artificial object, or at least tuned to a sophisticated mechanism never seen before? Each comparison between the two objects, each measurement and simulation, makes astronomers realize the extraordinariness of the universe. Once again, we are reminded that, in the vastness of space, there are subtle, rare, and fascinating events that humans can only observe, but hardly predict or control. 3i Atlas and Oumuamua, two passengers of the solar system, but with different rhythms, scales, and mysteries. These comparisons are not only scientific, but also a gentle reminder of the limits of human perception and the humility required when facing the cosmos. Harvard astrophysicist A.V. Loeb caused a stir when he hypothesized about Oumuamua. He said the object might not be purely natural, but might bear traces of a sophisticated mechanism or even technology from another civilization. When comparing it to 3i Atlas, Loeb highlighted the similarities and differences: the extremely rare hyperbolic orbit, the stability of its motion, and the surrounding gas that extends beyond all physical predictions. For him, the possibility that this is an artificial device, a programmed or controlled object, is no longer a far-fetched hypothesis, but a real possibility that needs to be considered. Loeb compared 3i Atlas to Oumuamua, emphasizing that both are interstellar passengers that drift through the solar system in a rare way. But 3i Atlas is larger, more energetic, and has an orbital stability far beyond that of any known comet, increasing the likelihood that it is not entirely natural. Loeb's hypotheses go beyond velocity or orbit. He also considers surface structure, light output, and internal fluctuations in the gas layer. All of these factors point to a sophisticated behavior beyond the ability to explain by natural physical reactions. This does not mean that Loeb is claiming that 3i Atlas is an extraterrestrial technology, but that he calls on the scientific community to expand its observations and does not rule out the possibility of known extraterrestrial mechanisms. He emphasizes, science is not about guessing, it is about being willing to question what we see, even if that leads to extraordinary possibilities. From Loeb's perspective, 3i Atlas becomes a mirror, not only reflecting the physics of the solar system, but also reflecting the limits of human perception. It reminds us that, in the vastness of space, there are still subtle phenomena which human intelligence can only observe, but can hardly explain completely. When you observe 3i Atlas, imagine that you are witnessing an interstellar journey, a rhythm of matter, energy, and perhaps even a trace of extraterrestrial intelligence. Each observation, each photon, each slight vibration is a piece in the story of the universe, inviting people to drift along, quietly feel, and contemplate. In the vast universe, theorists often refer to the dark forest theory, the idea that every advanced civilization chooses to hide, to remain silent in order to survive. If any civilization emits a signal, another civilization may see it as a threat and respond by destroying or eliminating it. When applying this hypothesis to 3i Atlas, one begins to wonder, could this object be some kind of elaborate camouflage, a planet or device sent by another civilization to observe Earth and its people without being detected? The stable hyperbolic orbit, the unusually expansive gas layer, and the regularity of the signals emitted all fit with a sophisticated stealth strategy. The idea makes us pause and reflect. If 3i Atlas is a silent observer, then all human observations are recorded, but leave no trace, create no alarm, just quietly exist among the stars. This silence also opens a lesson for science. Not all observations can be explained by physics or chemistry, but sometimes we have to consider the survival possibilities of extraterrestrial intelligence and rules that we do not fully understand. When imagining the dark forest, people realize one thing: the universe is not always hospitable, but can be a complex network where existence needs to be hidden and every signal is a life or death decision. 3i Atlas, in this context, may be the first example humans have ever discovered of the perfect stealth strategy, where the object exists just enough to be observed, but leaves no direct evidence. Every photon, every vibration, every tiny change in the gas layer becomes part of the silent language of the universe. These signals are not sent to interact, but to quietly record, respecting the rules of survival that we have never perceived. As you contemplate this idea, let your imagination drift between the silences. Feel the subtlety and realize that sometimes the universe does not need to speak, but still teaches us about existence and silence. As 3i Atlas drifted toward the corona, everything went silent. Telescopes on Earth and in orbit were powerless against the glaring light of the sun, a region so bright that any signal emitted by the object almost disappeared. For nearly a month, no images, no spectral waves, only deep data gaps. These gaps were like faint moments between cosmic heartbeats, where we could not see, but the object continued its journey. The strange thing was, despite being hidden behind the sunlight, 3i Atlas maintained regular energy fluctuations. Astronomers realized that the object was not disturbed by the gravitational pull of surrounding planets, not deflected by solar radiation. It was as if it was drifting through a forbidden zone, keeping a perfect rhythm. This observation gap poses a new problem. Simulations show that 3i Atlas may have made small changes in its orbit, subtle changes that humans cannot see in real time. All judgments are based on indirect data, while the object quietly follows its own path. The feeling that this gap brings is not only a scientific challenge, but also a philosophical experience. The universe exists beyond sight. Extraordinary events still take place, and sometimes the silence is the most powerful thing. In that moment, humans can only observe indirect effects, microscopic fluctuations in the surrounding space, or slight changes in energy signals. Everything else is obscured, like a mysterious curtain stretching millions of light miles. This gap in observation is also a lesson in humility. Even the most sophisticated of human technologies cannot see through, cannot grasp the entire universe. 3i Atlas passes by, silently and perfectly, still leaving its mark on the imagination and research. A reminder of the vastness and subtlety of interstellar phenomena. Every hour, every moment in the corona is an invitation to human reflection, of silence, of hidden possibilities, and of what remains undiscovered. As 3i Atlas exited the corona, all sensors and telescopes returned to life. Signals from the object began to return, but the data brought with them many surprises, making scientists reconsider previous hypotheses. NASA quickly compiled records, from spectra to energy fluctuations, and found that 3i Atlas's orbit remained completely stable, unchanged, even after the object had just passed through maximum solar insolation. This stability exceeded all predictions, even the most sophisticated simulations they had ever performed. ESA also conducted parallel analyses, focusing on the surrounding gas and endogenous emission signals. They found that the fluctuations before and after the corona were almost synchronized, as if the object had never been blinded by the sunday. This raises questions about the object's ability to self-correct its orbit and energy. Both agencies realized that there were moments when data was lost, not due to technological limitations, but because the object entered a region where signals could not be transmitted back to Earth. This gap, which lasted for weeks, was not only a scientific challenge, but also a lesson in the limits of human perception. Military experts also closely monitored the object because its disappearance and reappearance could have implications for space security, and led them to consider scenarios ranging from surveillance to defense. Secret meetings at NASA and ESA focused on predictive models of motion, risk probabilities, and the anomalous signals left by 3I Atlas. Importantly, the object not only returned to observability, but also demonstrated that it obeyed subtle rules that we have never seen in any other interstellar object. This event is a reminder that the universe never stops, and subtle phenomena may be beyond our ability to observe directly. As the data are compiled and analyzed, scientists begin to create long-term predictive models while still acknowledging the uncertainty. 3I Atlas is not just an object to study, but also a lesson in humility and silence about how the universe operates beyond our sight. This moment also opens up a new awareness. The world of science and the universe always exist in parallel, with phenomena never before seen, just waiting for delicate observations to record. 3I Atlas, out of the corona, not only reappeared, but also left a deep imprint in the minds of observers, and reminded that every cosmic story has mysterious silences just waiting for us to listen. As soon as 3I Atlas emerged from the intense glow of the corona, every sensor on Earth and in orbit began to pick up signals again. The spectral fluctuations, the faint flashes, began to tell the story of a completely different object. Its light did not disappear, but instead radiated steadily, rhythmically, like a cosmic heartbeat regulating itself. Unlike any comet or interstellar object before it, 3I Atlas maintained a steady glow, oscillating to a deliberate rhythm, a rhythm that humans had never observed. The molecules in the surrounding gas moved, emitting energy, and recombining in regular cycles, forming an endogenous mechanism, an energetic heart that science was only beginning to explain. These observations not only shed light on the existence of 3I Atlas, but also raise the big question: is this object completely natural, or does it contain sophisticated mechanisms capable of maintaining its own energy and adjusting its own orbit? Every photon emitted, every oscillation of light, is evidence of a strange object, far beyond all conventional physical models, and remind us that the universe sometimes quietly performs extraordinary things, just waiting for the most discerning observers to notice. As the spectral signatures were closely monitored, astronomers found that the gas surrounding 3I Atlas was expanding at a rate that exceeded all previous predictions. CO2 molecules and dust particles were being expelled, but not in the ways familiar physical models could explain. They moved as a soft band of light, increasing in density and creating regular internal emissions, like a heartbeat regulated from within. Have you ever imagined that an object millions of light years away could still breathe, rhythmically, like a living organism in the vastness of space. If you're following along with me, try closing your eyes for a second, feeling that breathing, and asking yourself, could the universe itself create dynamic mechanisms, of which we only observe a small fraction? Measurements show that the gas layer does not decrease over time, but continues to expand, well beyond the boundaries predicted by conventional comet models. This speed is not the result of pressure from the sun or gravity, but rather a manifestation of endogenous energy, a self-sustaining, self-regulating process, like an autogenous mechanism at work. This opens up new hypotheses. 3. Atlas is not just a quietly drifting object, but may be an independent energy system, able to generate light, regulate its orbit, and maintain its own internal rhythm. These observations have scientists and astronomers exclaiming, "We have never encountered an object with such capabilities in the solar system." Closer observation revealed that the light emitted by 3I Atlas was not a random phenomenon. The photons moved in a regular rhythm, like a pre-programmed series of quantum oscillations, without interference from sunlight, unaffected by the surrounding magnetic field or plasma. Yet they maintained a steady, surprisingly delicate rhythm. Physicists analyzing the data realized that these light fluctuations were synchronized with endogenous changes within the gas and core of the object. Each light cycle corresponded to a cycle of energy recombination, creating a closed-loop system, where energy was released, then collected for further illumination. These phenomena changed the way people viewed interstellar objects. No longer a passive ice comet, 3I Atlas seems to possess an endogenous mechanism, knowing how to emit rhythms to survive for a long time in the vast space. Experimental quantum models show that only with extremely precisely tuned electron oscillations can such regular light rhythms be created. On Earth, small experiments have not yet been able to reproduce this effect on a large scale. These light cycles prove that the object operates as a sophisticated energy system, not dependent on external forces, but only on its own endogenous mechanism. Continuous observations over many days show that the intensity and frequency of light remain stable, despite the speed of movement and slight changes in orbit. This makes 3I Atlas a unique case, an interstellar object capable of maintaining its own rhythm of life and radiation, like a living being floating in the void. These data open up more daring hypotheses that the object may be simulating chemical or physical processes, reproducing the rhythm of light oscillations, creating absolute stability in an environment that is otherwise chaotic. 3I Atlas, by means of the quantum rhythm of light, seems not only to exist, but to breathe in its own way, a subtle rhythm that human science is still trying to decipher. As the data were analyzed further, a curious connection emerged. The light fluctuations were not just independent, but were subtly synchronized with 3I Atlas's orbital motion. The astronomers found that each pulse of light coincided with a small change in orbit, as if light and physical motion were communicating with each other. The molecules in the gas reacted in an endogenous way, regulating their speed and direction, like a sophisticated clockwork system, each part influencing the others. This gave rise to a new hypothesis. 3I Atlas was not simply a free-floating object, but rather operated as a closed system, where light, energy, and gravity interact to maintain stability. The endogenous oscillations that maintain the emission rhythm and preserve the orbit, like an interstellar heartbeat, breathing in a way never before observed by humans. Numerical models show that Only with the right combination of endogenous energy and orbit can this long-term stability be achieved. Physicists acknowledge that no natural object in the solar system has ever exhibited such perfect synchronization between light emission and physical motion. This connection is also expressed at the quantum level. Electron oscillations within the object's core, interacting with the gas and radiation, create a luminous rhythm that coincides with the orbit. This synchronization lasts for days, remaining as the object changes position or nears planets. This discovery opens a new perspective. Interstellar objects are not just physical phenomena, but also manifestations of endogenous mechanisms, a self-regulating energy system that both exists and knows how to move and radiate. 3I Atlas, with its light oscillations linked to its orbit, became evidence of a type of object that science had never recorded. Continued observations reinforced this perception. The repeating light oscillations, synchronized with the orbital motion, showed a self-sustaining process, an endogenous rhythm of life, and opened the door to hypotheses about the sophisticated workings of interstellar objects. Looking more closely, astronomers found that 3I Atlas's endogenous light is more than just an internal phenomenon. It impacts its surroundings in subtle ways, like a wave of energy spreading through the gas and dust. Molecules in the gas react to the light fluctuations, creating faint plasma streams, shaping emission rings around the object, like a vivid painting drawn by its own energy. What's remarkable is that this interaction does not create chaos, but maintains equilibrium. The plasma streams move in an orderly manner, synchronized with the endogenous light rhythm, creating a stable environment around the object, like a natural protective layer that is as sophisticated as it has ever been. Measurements show that the endogenous light rhythm influences the distribution of dust grains, directs the CO2 flow, and regulates the pressure inside the coma. All of these phenomena are linked together, forming a synchronized energy network, both regulated and self-sustaining, unlike any other comet or interstellar object yet observed. Scientists found that the influence of the endogenous light extends for hundreds of kilometers around the object. Although it weakens with distance, it is still enough to shape the plasma and gas environment, creating a region of influence with its own rhythm, like a cosmic resonance that 3I Atlas controls from within. These observations raise big questions about how the object works. Is it a rare natural phenomenon, or is it the manifestation of a sophisticated internal mechanism that interacts with and regulates its environment according to its own rhythm? All the data suggests that 3I Atlas operates as a holistic system, where light, gas, and plasma are in harmony, creating a stable state in interstellar space. Each photon emitted is not just light, but energy that enters this network, regulating the environment and regenerating the internal rhythm of the object. This perfect synchronization has left physicists, astronomers, and theorists in awe, because no natural object has ever shown the ability to so subtly influence its environment while maintaining a stable internal rhythm. When comparing 3I Atlas to previous interstellar objects, the differences become clear. Oumuamua, the first interstellar object to be discovered, was a small, drifting fragment, had no extended gas envelope, did not glow consistently, and did not exert any significant endogenous influence on its surroundings. 3I Atlas, on the other hand, is a complete system, an interstellar object capable of maintaining its own emission rhythm, regulating its orbit, and creating synchronization effects with its gas and plasma. Every oscillation in light, every flux of CO2, acts on a sophisticated endogenous rhythm, unlike any other comet or interstellar object yet recorded. The velocity of the gas envelope and the rhythm of the endogenous light emission far exceed conventional physical predictions. They do not obey the simple rules of pressure, gravity, or radiation from the Sunday. Instead, 3I Atlas appears to operate on a complex internal mechanism, like a cosmic heart, breathing, emitting, and regulating its environment. These observations suggest that 3I Atlas is no random object. It is no longer a passing debris or a passive icy comet. It is an interstellar object capable of self-organization, regulating its emission and orbital rhythms, and interacting delicately with its environment. Scientists have begun to compare the data with modern physical models, but still cannot fully explain how it works. From quantum to macroscopic, every theory points to the synchronization of light, gas, and orbit that has never been seen before in nature. This makes 3I Atlas a special case, not just in terms of its size or orbit, but in how it operates as a whole system. Every light emission cycle, every orbital oscillation, every expanding gas stream is tightly coupled, creating a mechanism for maintaining stability in interstellar space, far beyond any other interstellar object yet observed. These comparisons help us realize an important fact. 3I Atlas is not simply a rare phenomenon, but a testament to the possibility of interstellar objects with endogenous mechanisms, regulating their energy, orbit, and environment, a sophisticated system that human science is only beginning to explore. Detailed observations show that 3I Atlas not only produces light at regular intervals, but also maintains a stable internal rhythm as a self-regulating energy system. The light fluctuations appear to be linked to the activity within the gas and core of the object, creating a closed energy cycle where energy is released and reabsorbed in a repeating rhythm. These quantum rhythms cause the light emitted to not fluctuate randomly, but to maintain perfect synchronization. The electrons in the object appear to respond to the internal energy field, tuning the light emission like a pre-programmed quantum machine, and operating delicately in the vastness of space. Current hypotheses suggest that this mechanism cannot be explained by classical physics, since any emission process in a normal celestial body is influenced by magnetic fields, plasma, or sunlight. In 3I Atlas, all of these factors are just background, and the endogenous rhythm continues steadily, like a beating heart of the universe. This endogenous cycle also affects the object's orbit. Each light oscillation, each quantum beat, seems to interact with the gravity of itself and the gas layer, keeping 3I Atlas moving steadily, contrary to all predictions of traditional astrophysics. Quantum physicists simulate this mechanism in small laboratories, but cannot achieve the stability and synchronization observed in space. This suggests that 3I Atlas operates as a self-sustaining system, with sophisticated quantum mechanisms never before seen, an endogenous rhythm that science is only beginning to understand. These observations also reveal the possibility of objects controlling their emission, intelligently reusing energy, maintaining a stable quantum rhythm while moving through interstellar space. Light is not just a physical manifestation, but also an indication of an endogenous mechanism, a sophisticated and self-aware operating system. This idea opens new doors in astrophysical research. If 3I Atlas does indeed maintain its endogenous energy and quantum rhythm, it is no longer a static object, but a dynamic system, a fundamentally self-aware mechanism that regulates itself and its surroundings. These discoveries raise the big question: could other interstellar objects, likely to exist with similar endogenous mechanisms, with self-regulated quantum rhythms and emissions? 3. I-Atlas may be the first demonstration of a sophisticated and dynamic form of interstellar object, far beyond any comet or meteoroid yet observed. The observational data from 3I-Atlas have opened up a whole new set of hypotheses, making astronomers ponder the possibility of endogenous mechanisms in interstellar objects. The synchronized light and orbital oscillations are not just phenomena, but a reminder that the universe is always filled with sophisticated mechanisms that are beyond prediction. The changes in emission intensity and gas expansion are not random, but follow an endogenous order, a complex rhythm which both creates the observed pattern and maintains the existence and stability of the object. Astronomers are beginning to ask, is 3I-Atlas the first example of an interstellar object that can regulate its energy and emission rhythm? If so, other objects, from smaller interstellar meteorites, may also have similar mechanisms, but are not yet large enough to be detected by current instruments. Observations from multiple Earth-based and orbiting telescopes have documented the light oscillations and endogenous quantum rhythms persist, regardless of environmental forces such as the solar wind or planetary magnetic fields. This demonstrates that the endogenous mechanism of 3I-Atlas is strong enough to maintain rhythm and orbit, a rare form of energy autonomy. Theoretical models are being developed to explain them, including the hypothesis of self-regenerating quantum energy and the synchronization of light, gas, and gravity. These models are still limited, but provide a framework for understanding this unique endogenous phenomenon. Looking further, the implications of observation are not limited to science. These results have changed the way researchers view interstellar objects, opening a new era in astronomy. Searching for and analyzing self-regulating energy systems, living objects capable of sophisticated interactions with their surroundings. These data also spurred discussion of advanced technological possibilities, hypotheses of self-regulating orbital objects, or even objects with fundamental self-awareness, capable of reproducing emission rhythms and maintaining stability over time. From observing endogenous light, astronomers realize that each photon, each oscillation, each orbital rhythm is not just physical information, but extended data about the operating mechanism of the object. 3I-Atlas, through its endogenous rhythms, helps us expand our understanding of the universe, about how matter can exist and self-regulate in interstellar space. As observations from multiple telescopes are brought together, a sophisticated picture of 3I-Atlas emerges. The light pulses, endogenous quantum oscillations, and the steady expansion of the gas layer are not isolated, but rather form a sophisticated energy network operating as a complete autonomous system. Compared with current physical theories, from quantum mechanics to plasma physics and gravity, scientists find that many aspects of 3I-Atlas still go beyond predictions. These phenomena cannot be explained by simple natural laws, but instead open up new hypotheses about endogenous mechanisms, about the ability to maintain stable emission pulses and orbits in interstellar space. The light pulses and endogenous oscillations persist, regardless of the effects of solar wind, planetary magnetic fields, or cosmic dust. This proves that the operating mechanism of 3I-Atlas is not random, but a sophisticated endogenous cycle, controlled from within the object like a beating cosmic heartbeat. Current hypotheses include chemical reaction simulations and self-replicating quantum mechanisms, which help maintain a stable emission rhythm and orbit, but do not participate in conventional physical processes. All of this creates a comprehensive system, completely different from any observed comet or interstellar object. Each oscillation, each emitted photon, each endogenous rhythm combine to form a complete endogenous mechanism, keeping 3I Atlas alive and operating stably in the vast interstellar space. This observation opens up a new direction of research, exploring the possibility of the existence of self-regulating and self-sustaining objects, a concept that science is only beginning to imagine. When all the observations are put together, a clear reality emerges. 3I Atlas is a unique object, completely different from any other comet or meteorite ever recorded. The light emission rhythm, the internal oscillations, and the expanding gas layer are not just physical phenomena, but rather manifestations of a sophisticated self-regulating mechanism. Every photon, every oscillation, every orbital rhythm, all contribute to an endogenous rhythm, keeping the object in constant and stable existence in interstellar space. These observations raise the big question: are there other, as yet undiscovered, objects that also operate by a similar endogenous mechanism, a form of self-sustaining, self-regulating object? If so, the universe may contain many self-regulating energy systems, far beyond what is currently understood by humanity. Objects do not just move, but interact with their surroundings, maintaining their emission rhythms and orbits in a sophisticated order. 3I Atlas is not simply a celestial body, but a testament to the possibility of endogenous mechanisms in the universe. This uniqueness also raises philosophical questions. Can the universe create self-sustaining objects? Can endogenous life exist without external energy sources? 3I Atlas, through sophisticated observations, is bringing us closer to the answer. The collected data are not just numbers or images, but living proof of an unprecedented mechanism, a sophisticated and stable energy network. These discoveries not only change the way we view interstellar objects, but also open up new research directions for self-regulating and self-sustaining objects in the universe. This chapter ends, but the endogenous pulses of 3I Atlas continue, a reminder that the universe is full of intricate mechanisms, mysteries of which humans have only scratched the surface. Every photon, every oscillation, every endogenous pulse is part of a larger picture, a journey that is still unfolding before humanity. A faint glow surrounded the object, but its core remained intact. NASA and ESA observatories recorded the same thing. The central mass remained undeformed, despite the pressure from solar radiation and gravity rising to extreme levels. The core, by all measurements, appeared to be incredibly strong. Physical models suggested that, given the density and mass of 3I Atlas, if it were a natural object, the core would have to have broken apart, melted, or exploded. But all the data ruled that out. Researchers began to think about the possibility of artificiality. An object that could remain stable under such conditions would have to have a super strong structure, capable of withstanding forces beyond anything yet observed in nature. The spectral contours show that energy is not dissipated, but absorbed and re-emitted in precise cycles. Quantum physics and solid-state mechanics models cannot reproduce the core's strength. Even the strongest synthetic material ever created would be destroyed if subjected to similar pressures. But the core of 3I Atlas remains steadfast, like a rock standing tall in a stormy cosmic sea. Long-term observations show that the core is not only stable, but also maintains a nearly perfect symmetry. Oscillations from the periphery do not alter the orbit of the core, but only affect the surrounding gas. This suggests that the internal self-regulation mechanism is not only about energy, but also about protecting the internal physical structure. Some physicists at ESA hypothesize that 3I Atlas's core may contain a super-strong crystal lattice, or quantum-controlled matter, that distributes forces evenly across the entire volume, keeping the object intact even under extreme pressures. These data lead to a strong conclusion. 3I Atlas does not behave like a natural object. The stability of the core, its ability to withstand forces, and the ability of the surrounding gas to self-align its orbit all suggest a sophisticated design, an artificial mechanism intended to survive long periods in interstellar space. Follow-up observations from spectral and magnetic sensors further confirm the stability of the core. Any external fluctuations are absorbed without affecting the central structure. These data have scientists pondering. The object not only exists, but also operates as a self-sustaining machine, protecting itself in the harsh environment of the universe. The gas surrounding 3I Atlas is more than just a translucent shell. It reflects, absorbs, and redistributes energy from the core, like a membrane that oscillates in sync with the internal rhythms. Observing stations have noted that every external disturbance, from the solar wind to the planetary magnetic field, is subtly absorbed by the gas, without being transmitted to the core. This suggests a deliberate energy stratification, a mechanism that protects the core while maintaining a stable orbit. The interaction between the core and the gas creates a regular rhythm, like the heartbeat of an interstellar object. Each oscillation, each plasma vibration, reflects a continuous adjustment, allowing the object to adapt to its harsh environment without changing its core structure. Current physical models, even those testing extreme gravity and high thermal pressures, cannot simulate this mechanism. Only the endogenous mechanism of 3I Atlas can explain the ability of the gas layer to absorb, dissipate energy, and maintain a synchronized oscillation rhythm. Researchers began to hypothesize that the gas layer may contain ionized matter, programmed to interact precisely with the external gravitational and magnetic fields, like an energy armor, regulating all external influences, a system that protects and sustains the internal life of the core. This effect explains why 3I Atlas can travel interstellar without losing energy, and why its light emission rhythm remains stable despite external forces. The gas layer acts as a regulator, not only absorbing energy, but also converting and re-emitting it periodically, keeping the entire object stable in the turbulent interstellar environment. These data suggest that not only the core but also the surrounding gas is part of an endogenous artificial mechanism, interacting synchronously with the core to form a complete system, a self-sustaining cosmic machine, far beyond any known natural physical phenomenon. The gas and core of 3I Atlas do not exist independently. They form a coherent system in which all external forces are delicately regulated and dispersed. When the solar wind, planetary magnetic fields, or cosmic particles act, the energy does not go straight to the core, but is absorbed, dispersed, and re-emitted in a synchronized rhythm by the gas layer. This is like a cosmic damper system, keeping the core stable and the light emission rhythm uninterrupted. Spectroscopic and magnetic field observations show that the gas layer acts as an energy shield, keeping the entire object against disturbances from the interstellar medium. Each plasma oscillation, each ionization, is cyclically controlled, forming an endogenous rhythm that helps 3I Atlas maintain its orbit and structure. Current physical models cannot reproduce this mechanism. Even advanced plasma and quantum simulation systems cannot explain such a perfect energy dissipation. Only an endogenous mechanism can explain it, with the core and gas interacting in sync, keeping the object stable in its extreme environment. This protection also explains why 3I Atlas's light emission rhythm remains regular, despite external influences. The entire object acts as a self-sustaining machine, recycling and regulating energy continuously, a sophisticated artificial mechanism never seen in nature. This observation opens up a new understanding. Not only the core, but also the entire surrounding gas is part of an endogenous protective mechanism, creating a perfectly self-sustaining interstellar object, a distinct cosmic rhythm that continues to move between stars without breaking. When all the observations are combined, a comprehensive picture of 3I Atlas emerges: the object's extremely stable core, the surrounding gas interacting in sync, all combine to form a sophisticated internal mechanism. The object not only exists, but also operates as a self-sustaining machine, recycling and regulating energy perfectly. The internal oscillations, light emission rhythms, and energy dissipation are all controlled by a system never before seen in nature. These data send a clear message: 3I Atlas is unlike any other interstellar object observed. Its stability, resilience, and internal rhythms, it suggests a sophisticated design, an artificial mechanism for sustainable survival in a harsh environment. Understanding this mechanism, humans began to realize that the universe could contain objects that operate on endogenous principles, that can self-regulate and maintain existence without external resources, a discovery that opened up philosophical and scientific questions. Are there similar systems lurking in space, waiting for humans to discover? As 3I Atlas approached the observation stations, a distinctly focused beam of light emerged from the object's front. Not the usual scattered light, but a steady, straight, and directed stream of energy. NASA and ESA telescopes both recorded this phenomenon. Observations confirmed at multiple wavelengths. Remarkably, the beam did not vary with the intensity of the solar wind, did not depend on the angle of incidence, and maintained a constant shape over hours of observation. This effect could not be explained by known natural phenomena. It was not scattering from icy dust. It was not plasma reacting to temperature, nor was it light reflecting off the object's core. Conventional physical models failed to simulate this steady beam. One hypothesis is that the beam could be a beacon, a targeted beam of energy, emitted in a fixed direction to communicate or guide. Its characteristics, focused, stable, straight, are similar to those of a finely tuned celestial laser. Spectroscopic measurements show that the energy emitted by the beam is consistent with a controlled emission mechanism. There are no random fluctuations, no irregular scattering, all directed toward the object, as if the object knows exactly where it is going and where it is going. These observations suggest an unprecedented possibility. 3I Atlas is not just a free-floating object, but also capable of emitting energy in a programmed way. To send signals, guide or mark its position in interstellar space, astrophysicists are beginning to compare the beam to the most advanced human technologies. Even modern lasers on Earth, with precise guidance systems, still struggle to achieve similar convergence and stability over interstellar distances. This raises the question, could 3I Atlas contain an artificial emission mechanism, a guidance or information system that goes beyond the natural capabilities? Geometric observations show that the beam originates from the object's core, like a conduit for focused energy. The intensity gradually decreases with distance, but still maintains a clear geometric structure. The researchers emphasize that no natural mechanism can maintain a stable, focused beam in interstellar space. Additional data from different light and wavelength sensors also show that the beam is capable of adjusting its wavelength like a continuously modulated signal. This further strengthens the hypothesis of an artificial beacon, not only emitting energy, but also encoding information. This phenomenon has scientists wondering, if this is a signal, what is its purpose? Is it sending a message to another civilization, or is it simply a sign that the object is positioning itself in the universe? All hypotheses are open, and each new observation adds to the mystery. Computer models have been programmed to reproduce this beam, but they cannot quite match the actual data. The stability, focus, and fixed direction are far beyond the capabilities of known natural phenomena. This forces scientists to consider 3I Atlas could be a purposeful system designed to generate energy and manipulate the light in the most sophisticated way. The overall shape of 3I Atlas adds to the mystery. The object is neither round like a traditional comet nor irregular like a meteorite. It has an elongated, nearly symmetrical structure, with edges and planes that create a delicate shape unlike any other natural object observed. The beam of light from the object's head fits perfectly along this long axis, as if guided from a purposeful central core. Each time 3I Atlas rotates slightly, the beam maintains a steady orientation without being deflected by inertia or pressure from the interstellar medium. Spectral and geometric observations show that the shape of the object and the beam are inseparable. The core, the surrounding gas, and the beam form a synchronized system in which all elements are linked, keeping the energy focused and directed. Physical models that attempt to reproduce this phenomenon cannot explain the combination of shape and beam. In nature, comets or asteroids cannot maintain a stable crystal structure and beam direction under conditions of radiation, solar wind, and interstellar gravity. This synchronization suggests a remarkable hypothesis. 3I Atlas may be an artificial system with a shape designed to direct the beam, helping it transmit signals or position itself precisely in space. Any fluctuations from the environment are absorbed or redistributed, keeping the core and beam stable. Detailed analysis also shows that the geometry of the object is not only fixed, but also optimized for focusing the light. The edges, planes, and core interact to minimize scattering and energy loss, keeping the beam focused over billions of kilometers of space. This phenomenon has led scientists to ask, could the beam be a form of signal, an interstellar beacon, controlled by the structure of the object itself? All observations indicate that the object and the beam operate in synchrony, like a sophisticated machine, far beyond any known natural capabilities. The 3I Atlas forward beam is more than just light. Spectral measurements show that the energy emitted reaches tens of gigawatts, equivalent to the output of a large nuclear power plant, with enough concentration to maintain shape over millions of kilometers. The emission intensity does not vary in direction, keeping a steady rhythm regardless of the interstellar object's velocity of up to 87 kilometers per second. This is far beyond any known natural mechanism, because traditional comets, when moving this fast, often scatter the beam and distort the spectrum. The data also show that the wavelength of the beam fluctuates slightly with a period of about 22 minutes, as if there is an endogenous rhythmic modulator.